What is this? That's right, it's a time machine box. I kind of wish it was a time machine box because this could be a waste of my time doing this video. I don't think it will be, but it would be nice if I could push one of these buttons over here and get some time back. But this is a vending machine. In particular, it's a Pepsi soda vending machine. And I'm going to explain to you how that works and how it relates to math. And one of the topics I'm going to cover for you. I think it's going to be difficult at first to understand and comprehend what I'm talking about, but as I go through the lesson, I think you'll be successful and it'll all become more clear to you and you'll be able to do a much better job of understanding what I'm saying. So try to hang in there for the first few minutes and then I think you're going to be successful. So how does a drink machine work like this? Well, I'm going to cover several different situations that could arise with a drink machine, and all of that's going to relate to my lesson today in some way. And at least 10% of what I tell you is the truth and is important information. And the things I'm going to tell you about this drink machine today are actually very important. So we need to understand them. So I'm going to explain them to you. Now, how it typically works is you come up to the machine. If you want to select a particular drink, first thing you need to do is deposit your money, whether it's putting paper in, putting coins in. Some machines even take credit card, or you could use a chip in your wrist if you have one. But you deposit your money somehow, and then you push a button in to select the particular drink that you want. And then that drink pops out in the deposit hole here at the bottom, in the tray in the bottom. And that's how it works. Well, there's several different things that could happen here. Some of them, we could say that these situations function correctly. Some of them, we could say that the situations did not function correctly, like we thought it would function, or like we thought the outcome would be. And I'm going to cover those right now. Okay, so here's one of those situations. If you go up to the drink machine, you deposit your money in. Let's say you push this button, this top button. It's labeled Pepsi. You push the button in, and a Pepsi pops out the bottom. And that's the drink you wanted. Could we say that machine or that situation functioned correctly? Absolutely yes. We pushed the Pepsi button, the Pepsi came out, we got what we wanted. Now, what are some other situations that could arise? Well, here's another situation, and this is extremely important. On this particular machine, is there more than one button that you could push in and still get the same drink? The answer is yes. I could push the top button or the next one. Either one of these would still give me the same drink. So I push this button, I can also get a Pepsi. So I can push in this button or this button and still get the exact same drink. That's extremely important and something I'm going to get to later. Something else that's important. If I came up to this machine and I pushed the top button, the Pepsi button, and a Mountain Dew came out in the tray, could we say that functioned correctly? Well, no, it didn't. If we hit Pepsi, we expect a certain thing to come out. So I hit this top button, I expect a Pepsi to come out, but a Mountain Dew comes out instead. So I put something in but got out something different. We can say it did not function correctly. Now, there are some other situations that could arise with the machine like this, such as you put your money in and then you can push all the buttons and nothing comes out. So, and that does happen. Just as well as sometimes you can push a button and a different soda will pop out of the machine. But those are some important highlights I just want you to understand and be familiar with for this lesson today. And what I've done, I've altered the machine a little bit because I don't want you to focus so much on what the buttons are as a drink as much as what drink comes out. You'll see that each button is labeled X and they're different colors, various colors, and some have the same color. Here is Y. This is where the drinks come out. Now, let's say that I go up to this machine and I hit this top button, which is yellow, and the drink that comes out is a Pepsi. So let's say I get a Pepsi if I hit the top yellow button. Did that function correctly? If I hit this top button, I get a Pepsi out, we'll say that functioned correctly. Now, let's say the next customer comes behind me. The next customer comes over here and selects the exact same button I do. They push the button. What should come out? A Pepsi. So if two people hit this button and Pepsi's come out, we can say it functioned correctly. However, a different situation. Let's say I push this top button and I get a Pepsi. And I say that functioned correctly. But the next customer came, they pushed this X in, but they got out a Diet Mountain Dew. Did that function correctly? No. Because every time we hit this yellow button, we should be getting a Pepsi. So we should hit this button and get a Pepsi, but if a Mountain Dew comes out a different drink, then it did not function correctly. And here's another situation for you. Is there more than one button that can get me the same drink or same soda? Well, yes. If I come up here and I hit this top yellow button and I get a Pepsi, the next customer comes and hits the second yellow button. Well, since they're both yellow, it should represent the same soda coming out. So yes, you can select two different, or put in two different ones here, but still get the same drink out. And what I'm going to try to do is a quick recap here. Okay, let's go over this one more time. I told you it's going to be difficult at first, but then it's going to get easier as we go. So let's say I come up to this machine and I hit this pink button right here. And I push it in. And I get out a Mountain Dew. Everybody else that comes up here and pushes this button should get a what? A Mountain Dew. We can say the machine functioned correctly. It worked. If somebody else comes up and hits that, the second pink button, what should come out? The same drink, a Mountain Dew. Hitting the same color would result in the same soda coming out of the machine. So we can say that functioned okay. I can hit more than one button, but still get the same outcome, the same drink. Is this next one a function? Did it function correctly? If I come up here and I hit the pink button, and I get out a Sierra Mist, no, because everybody else was getting a Mountain Dew when they hit this button, but now somebody pushes that same button and gets a Sierra Mist. Did that function correctly? No, it did not. And that's just a recap of how this machine works and what's supposed to come out, and sometimes the errors that happen and when the machine does not function correctly. One key term for this unit is relation. A relation is very simply a set of ordered pairs. So you have more than one ordered pair that is together collectively in the same set. In this example I have provided for you, there are 4 ordered pairs in this particular set. There are all kinds of relationships going on in the middle school. Trust me. Well, no, don't trust me. But at any given moment, there's all kinds of relationships occurring. One of those relationships that teachers would like you to focus on, and probably your parents too, is in this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take baby steps starting off. Well, basically, I'm going to work from infancy. I'm going to raise you from infancy up to maybe your teen years. And once I get you to a teenager, then somebody else can take over. So that's the way I raise my own children. So I'm going to treat you the same. Let's say this is a diagram of an ordering panel on a drink machine. In the left column are the buttons you could use when making a selection. So I pushed the top pink button here. And when I did, a 2 came out. Next, I hit the blue button. When I pushed the blue button in, a 4 came out. Next, I push in the yellow button, and I get -1. And last, I push in that red button, and I get -5. So this tells me every time I push a pink button, I'm getting a 2. Every time a blue button is pushed, I get a 4. A yellow button, I get -1. And a red button, I get a -5. Everything functioned like it was supposed to if this were a drink machine. On this different machine, I still have colored buttons. If I push the green button with an X on it, I get out -5. I then push the second button, which is white, and I get out -3. I push the blue button and get out +1. I push in the last button and I get out -3. Did this machine function correctly? Think about the soda machine. Can there be more than one button that will give you the same drink? The answer is yes. In this case, I can hit more than one button and get out a -3. Similar to having more than one button you could push and still get a Mountain Dew. So we can say that this machine did function correctly. So it is a function. A different machine. As you can see, I hit the first blue button and got a 9. I then pushed in the red button and got an 8. I pushed in the yellow button and got a 7. I then pushed in the last button, which is blue, and got 6. Did this machine function correctly? No, it did not. Here's why. If you go to a Pepsi machine that has 2 separate Pepsi buttons, if you push either of those Pepsi buttons, shouldn't you get the exact same drink out, which is a Pepsi? Well, yes. With this machine, I have 2 separate blue buttons, which tells me I can push either button and I should get the same outcome. The top button, I pushed it and I got a 9. But then I pushed the same color button in the second time at the bottom and I got a 6. So I pushed the same type of button but got a different number out. This is similar to going to a soda machine, pushing a button, getting a Pepsi, then pushing the same button again and getting a Dr. Pepper. We can now conclude that this did not function correctly, so therefore this machine did not produce a function. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit now. I'm going to replace all of those colored buttons with actual numbers now. So I'm going to put a value in place of that X that I've had in those buttons before. So now they're going to become numbers and not letters or colored buttons like on the machine. Here is another machine, except this time each of the colored buttons has been replaced with a number. So each X now has an assigned value. If I put in a 1, I get out a 6. If I push the -3 button, I get a 2. If I push a 5, I get a 0. And if I push in -1, I get out -2. Does it appear that this machine functioned correctly? Yes, it did. So we can say that this relation or set of ordered pairs represents a function. I have listed the set of ordered pairs to the left to demonstrate to you that the numbers from the table are showing a relationship between the X and Y values on a coordinate plane. Here's another example of a machine or a relation, a table or set of ordered pairs. Look at each of the values on the left. Each of those X values are buttons that we push on a machine. Do you see or recognize anything that could be considered malfunctioning or not functioning correctly? I can't hear you, but you should say yes. Let's focus in on the top section. The first time I hit -2, I got a 1 out. The second time I hit a -2, I got a 3 out. If this were a soda machine, this did not function correctly. I'm hitting the same button 2 different times, but getting out 2 different drinks. So every time I plug in -2, I expect to get a 1 or a 3, not both. Because of that, we're going to say that this relation or set of ordered pairs is not a function. Take a look at this relation. which is again a set of ordered pairs. Does it appear to be a function? Hopefully you said yes. Let's take a look at the first two inputs or first two buttons. If I push a 0, it tells me I'm getting out a 3. If I push a 2, I'm also getting a 3. Can that be considered functioning correctly? In the case of the soda machine, can I push 2 different buttons and still get the same drink out? Yes. So I can also push a 0 or a 2 and still get the same number out. So we can conclude that this relation is a function. Last example in episode 1. Is this relation a function or not? It is not a function because I hit the same button 2 different times and got 2 different outcomes. To reference the soda machine one more time, if I hit the same button on a soda machine, I should always get the same drink out. So in this case, every time I hit -3, I should get a 3. But I hit -3 a second time and got a 1. So that is not a function because it did not function correctly.